maybe the mom thought she needed a cop to show up, but the question is, should they have sent a cop, or should they have sent like a cop and maybe a social worker or something? Somebody else might have been better able to change the situation. And that is where we need to be focusing this stuff on. Like, there is a legitimate concern for over-policing. And the concern is not merely in the eyes of the people who are being policed, right? It's also in the officers who aren't trained and shouldn't have to deal with an autistic kid. If these guys don't know how to subdue because they're not trained and they don't have the funding and the time, I'm not blaming the officers for the training here. I'm genuinely not. It's such a unique sort of fashion of what they would need to do that they wouldn't encounter often. It's not efficient to train all cops. Like, here's how you handle Asperger's. As if you could even train cops for how to handle all levels of autism. It's called a spectrum for a reason. It doesn't work that way. Not everybody, autistic people are not a monolith. They don't react the same. And there's gradations and variations to all of them. So, it's maybe better for the police to outsource that type of call, or at least supplement that type of call response with someone who is trained to deal with that stuff, who does do it. And maybe it's, supplementing it with a security officer from a mental health institution. I mean, we kind of got rid of those. Now those are just called prisons. But there are a few around. But there are also, social workers or various therapists who can actually provide help. And you can, if there's danger, like maybe there was legitimate danger, they thought there was legitimate danger here. Maybe the mom isn't being fully honest with what she said on the phone. Maybe she did mention threats with a weapon. Who knows? I find that hard to believe, but who knows? If that's going on, you send a cop and the mental health worker. But you don't, like, two cops helping that situation. And they shouldn't be expected to. They shouldn't be expected to do it. But I mean, come on, like, why are you shooting the kid, though? Why are you shooting the kid? What is going on? They make special cops and give them short cruisers. No, come on. And this one's really bad. But this is merely a symptom. This is merely a symptom of a much bigger and usually less damaging problem. And that is that cops are responding to hundreds to thousands of calls a day that don't need a cop. They need something else. And if we focus resources on getting the proper response, we can then focus police resources on being the proper police response. And to me, that is more important. And one of the critical police resources that we have not utilized well is time. Discussions about budgets and all of that stuff, whatever. Cops have too much on their plate. They don't have time to have like sort of mental recoup days where they go in and rather than being out in a stressful and dangerous environment, dealing with unexpected encounters on the street, because that's one thing that cops probably don't get enough credit for, even from people like me, is that they're going into every encounter with a stress response. Every single one of them. And this is part training, this is part results or whatever. But in theory, every single one of them can turn violent in a heartbeat. And they don't know until they at least get into the situation. You may not know, until violence actually occurs. But even before they arrive, they don't know the mental state of the person they're going to address. And so they automatically are engaged in a stress response from the start. That is horrifyingly fatiguing. It's taxing on your mental state. It's taxing on everything. And so, and taxation is theft. But it makes it difficult for them to be able to recuperate. So if we were able to give them, by focusing other resources into places that they don't need to be, if we were able to free up time for police to do things like ongoing training and give them a mental break from that stress response specifically. Okay, look, you're going to have a day out of every week that's a predictable thing where you're going to go into a classroom environment and you're going to work on some skill. And you're not going to be worried that someone's going to knife you or shoot you. That would be a huge benefit. I think that would be a huge benefit. I'm not a cop, though, so if there are any, you can go ahead and correct me or support me all you want. Correct? I believe you are a cop. We have a section in my department called community policing. Usually see them on bicycles. I know, I make fun of those guys. In relation to like autistic kids who aren't substations in neighborhoods. You have to make fun of bike. That's actually in state law. No, you're not. Okay. Let me read a couple chats, and then we'll get DA talks on. But I wanted to bring you this story, and again, I don't know enough details on this story to dump on the cops. They didn't mention the ethnicity of the child, which leads me to believe he's probably white. It's also in Utah, so that's a strong chance that it's a white kid. I don't have enough details to like condemn the cops' actions. Maybe the kid was coming right for him. I don't know. There's just no way to sell shooting a 13-year-old that doesn't have like a missile launcher pointed at you. There's no way to sell that in a headline. It's never gonna happen. Never gonna happen. So, but I wanted to use it to talk about what defund